Terminalization of chiasma happens in diakinesis. Which of the following is not an objective of biofortification? Don't look at the options. Why is biofortification done? Biofortification. Biofortification is done for improving the nutritive value of crops, basically plants. So look at the options. Improve protein content. Is it biofortification to improve protein content? It is. Resistance to diseases. Improve resistance to diseases. Diseases in whom? In plants. So is it biofortification? That is not biofortification. Fortification is associated with improving nutrition, nutritive value, providing some nutrient through the crop. Improve vitamin content, improve micronutrient and mineral content, all of those are objectives of biofortification, but not improving resistance to diseases. If you are improving resistance to, if you are improving the ability of human beings by modifying plants, food crops, what do you call that? What do you call such food? Not prepared food, naturally available food. Let's say fruit, which has immunity boosting property. Edible vaccines. Edible vaccines. Great amount of research is going on in producing edible vaccines. Vaccines for the surface, basically, what you can eat. The gut-related pathogens can be fought with edible vaccines. Rotavirus, typhoid, hepatitis A, polio, all of these can be modified to be, all the antigens of these pathogens can be incorporated into fruits. So you eat that fruit, you will get surface immunity. So the days are not far when you will go to the fruit store where they would have put out rotavirus banana available, typhoid mango. All right. Vitamin A rich rice is golden rice. Anything with tomato? Tomato also is genetically modified. What is that tomato? The particular name of that tomato genetically modified with improved shelf life? Flavor saver tomato. Partial pressure in millimeter mercury of oxygen and carbon dioxide at the alveoli are. We have done this now. Huh? Previous paper. Okay. At the level of alveoli, what is the partial pressure of oxygen and carbon dioxide? Again, simple baseline rule, 100, 40. Where it is picking up oxygen, when the hemoglobin has picked up oxygen, partial pressure is around 100. Carbon dioxide is 40. In the deoxygenated state, partial pressure of oxygen is 40. Partial pressure of carbon dioxide is 45. That's the thumb rule. Now look at this. Which one do you want to choose? PO2 104 and PCO2 40. What will happen to partial pressure of oxygen in polluted air? Let's say the partial pressure of oxygen available for gas exchange in the lungs here in Nongster and in Delhi. Will the partial pressure of oxygen in the inhaled air at Nongster and Delhi be the same, or will there be any difference? It will be the same? Because it is still the Earth's atmosphere only. It will be different. Will the partial pressure be more or less? More. So there will be better oxygen absorption in Delhi. Why less? Why less? Partial pressure of an individual gas in a mixture of gases is the pressure exerted by that gas in the presence of all the other gases. So it is not just a diffusion gradient. It is not how much oxygen is available on this side and how much is available on this side. They will exchange and come to an equilibrium. No. How much oxygen can diffuse depends on how much is the concentration of other gases in that mixture. So assuming normal air, which is supposed to be there in the atmosphere, the normal composition, we see the partial pressure to be this. In polluted air, because of the presence of other gases also, there is a possibility of partial pressure oxygen being lesser. Now those gases also will develop some partial pressure, will have some partial pressure. And are those gases supposed to be in your blood? There is no transportation mechanism, let's say for sulfur dioxide or nitrous oxide. For toxic gases, there is no mechanism for carrying those gases. But is it not possible that those gases can diffuse, cross the alveolo-capillary membrane and enter the bloodstream and get dissolved in the plasma? Is it not possible? Now those dissolved gases will be delivered to the cells also across the body, will be delivered to the tissues across the body. Possible, no? That is why the physiological processes within the body will be suboptimal in their performance in a polluted environment than in a clean environment. A cleaner environment will give you better conditions for your body to function optimally. And when your body is functioning optimally, your intellectual performance improves. Alright? Every year when the 10th standard and 12th standard results come in Karnataka, all the higher ranks, all the top ranks, or a very significant proportion of the top ranks come from rural Karnataka. Urban centers like Bangalore, Mysore, Mangalore, these are all very populated urban centers. They are not able to understand why is it that rural people are getting better results than urban students. This is the reason. Your performance is not dependent solely on the availability of resources. Availability of resources is over, that is no longer the limiting factor. Resources are available everywhere because of the technology, because of internet now. Resources are available everywhere. Whoever is capable of performing for longer periods of time and whose intellectual capacity is better for performance, they will do well. Next one. Venereal diseases can spread through. Which of these 5 statements, which of these 5 modes given do not transmit venereal diseases? Using sterile needles, does it cause venereal disease? Using unsterile needles can cause. So A should not be the part of the choice. If it is part of anything, then you should eliminate it. 1 and 4 eliminated because it has A. Between 2 and 3, B and C is common. So you have to check whether D is a mode of transmitting sexually transmitted diseases. Venereal disease means what? Sexually transmitted diseases. If D is or not a mode of transmitting sexually transmitted disease. D, kissing. Is it a mode of transmission of sexually transmitted diseases? No. So D is not a part of it. So B and C only. Transfusion of blood from an infected person, infected mother to fetus. They are not inheritable. Physical contact by way of touching or kissing does not lead to sexually transmitted diseases being transmitted. Okay? If there is oral mucosal damage, there is still a possibility. There is still a possibility if there is oral mucosal damage. Okay? Among the Okay, I'll give you two sexually transmitted diseases which are deadly. HIV, and which is the other one? Hepatitis B. HIV and hepatitis B. Of these two, which one is preventable? Which one is preventable? Both are preventable by good practices, but preventable by vaccination. Hepatitis B has got vaccine. Hepatitis B has got vaccination. But infectivity, which one is high? Which one is more infective? Which one is more infective? So in an unimmunized person, which of these two has a high probability of transmission under the same conditions? Hepatitis B is more infective. So if you have a needle prick to both of these people, one with HIV and one with hepatitis B, the needle prick, the needle tip will have some viruses. The survivability of the virus on the needle that has pricked the HIV person is lesser than the one which has pricked the hepatitis B person. The hepatitis B virus can survive for longer outside of the body than HIV. Alright? So you cannot say this one is better than the other. Both of them should be completely avoided. A specific recognition sequence identified by endonucleases to make cuts at specific position within the DNA is palindromic nucleotide sequences. Okazaki sequences are found as complementary sequences to the DNA strand running in the direction. Okazaki fragments are complementary to the DNA strand with polarity 5 to 3. That's what about it? Huh? See, all of you know this, but suddenly the question will put you into confusion. Write down 2 lines, put polarity, and see which one is the template for Okazaki fragment is built as a template against which strand of polarity. What polarity? 5 to 3 polarity, because if it is 3 to 5, the new strand will be synthesized from 5 to 3 direction. So that will go continuously. Okazaki fragments are developed complementarily to the strand which has 5 to 3 direction. Now I can complicate this question a little bit more. The strand against which Okazaki fragments are developed complementarily during DNA replication is the dash strand during transcription. Is it the coding strand or the template strand? Coding strand. 5 to 3 is the coding strand. 3 to 5 is the template strand. Okay. So, question can be anything. Concept is the same. We can add some stories also. Alright, some unrelated story, unrelevant story, bringing in so many terminologies. Give it a half a paragraph question. Still the concept will be the same. Poly A tail sequences are found where? Poly A sequences are found where? Where do you find poly A sequences? Where is it?
3'N.
In the 3' end of the hnRNA. Not hnRNA, the 3' end of the mRNA. mRNA. After adding poly A tail, the hnRNA becomes mRNA. No? So in this just polarity. DNA, RNA polarities. 5'3", 5'3", 5'3" is the polarity for everything. Okay. Which one of the following statements about histones is wrong? Again repeat, no? This one we have got in the previous paper also. Histones are organized to form a unit of 8 molecules. Yes or no? Yes, histone-octamer. 1, 2A, 2B, 3, 4. Like OBC categories. Alright. 1, 2A, 2B, 3A, 3B. These are the OBC categories. Now, instead of 3A, 3B, you make it 3 and 4. Those are the histones. One. Okay. A histone-octamer. pH of histones is slightly acidic. Is it right? It is wrong. What are the acidic amino acids? We discussed that yesterday. Aspartic acid and glutamic acid. What are the alkaline amino acids, basic amino acids? Histidine, arginine, lysine. How do we remember this? HAL, Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. HAL is the aeronautic, it is the, I think it is a Maharatna. What is Maharatna? Profitable public sector company. Histones are rich in amino acids, lysine and arginine. That is true. See, why lysine and arginine? Alkaline. Histones carry a positive charge in the side chain. That is also correct. During muscular contraction, which of the following events occur? Head zone disappears. Yes or no? If at all anything contracts, it is H zone. Is it only H zone? I band also becomes narrow because I band is the non-overlapping zone between the thin and thick filament. During contraction, the Z lines are pulled closer to each other, so the overlap between the thick and thin filament increases, reducing the I band. Reducing the I band. Does the thin filament become shorter? Okay, which filament becomes shorter during muscle contraction? Thick filament or thin filament? Which filament becomes shorter during muscle contraction? Is it the thick filament or the thin filament? Those of you who say thick filament, raise your hands. During muscle contraction, thick filament becomes shorter. Those of you who say thin filament, raise your hands. I have audio of thin filament. Neither. There is no shortening of the filament, there is shortening of the zones. H zone and I zone narrows. Okay. Among the options, A is possible, H zone disappears. Possible. A band widens. Does A band widen? No, A band is the span of the thick filament. It still remains the same. I band reduces in width. Possible. A and C should be correct. If anything has B, it should be removed. Option 2, 3, 4 has B. So only option 1 is correct. Check for the correctness of D and E also. Myosin hydrolyzes ATP releasing ADP and inorganic phosphate. That is correct. Z lines attached to actins are pulled inwards. That is also correct. Matching. Scapula, cranium, sternum, vertebral column. What do you want to catch hold of? It's all bones with some joints or something. Okay, scapula is? What do you want to choose? Scapula is? Scapula is triangular flat bone. Sternum is also a flat bone. But see, there are two flat bones, scapula and sternum. Cranium is also flat bone, isn't it? The cranial bones are also flat bones. Okay. Scapula, triangular, flat bone, A4. Option 3 and 4. Sternum is flat bone, C2. A4, C2, option 4. Cranium, fibrous joints, correct. Vertebral column, cartilaginous joints. That is right. What do you call the cushioning between the two vertebral bones as? What do you call it? That is very important for keeping that space, keeping the space between the vertebral columns, which will allow for the nerves to move out. If this particular cushiony thing is disrupted, if that cartilage is disrupted or it gets compressed, it will lead to nerve compression, leading to pain in the region of the supply of the nerve which has been compressed. What is that?
Intervertebral disc.
Intervertebral disc. Inter-disc, there are two in your body. Intervertebral discs and the other one is intercalated discs. Where do you find intercalated discs? In the heart, in the cardiac muscles. So, any question that might ask you about the intervertebral disc might also have an option intercalated disc. Be careful about it. Inter and disc. One quality of the mind is it will not go through the things completely. It will just identify something. And just I will give you an example. If this is in the middle of a sentence, what will you read this as?
Quality.
Quality. If it is in the middle of a sentence with about 15 to 20 words, you will not even realize that the spelling was wrong. Alright? So, that is the nature of the mind, to speed up things. Be attentive is, when I say be attentive, this is what? Intercalated disc, intervertebral disc. Which of this is not an important component of the initiation of parturition in humans? Increase in estrogen-progesterone ratio, synthesis of prostaglandins, release of oxytocin, release of prolactin. What is certainly a part of parturition among the given four? Synthesis of prostaglandins and release of oxytocin. Who produces prostaglandins during parturition? Placenta itself will produce prostaglandins. What does prostaglandins do? Prostaglandins bring about smooth muscle contraction, favoring expulsion of the fetus. Oxytocin also does that. Who produces oxytocin? Who produces oxytocin? Who produces oxytocin? Hypothalamus. Where is oxytocin released from? Posterior pituitary. Posterior pituitary. See, with posterior pituitary hormones, if production is a part of the question and hypothalamus is a part of the options, choose hypothalamus. If production is a part of the question but hypothalamus is not a part of the options and you have posterior pituitary, what would you do? You can still choose it. Alright? Just forgive the ignorance of the person who has said the question. Okay. No. Whoever sets the question paper will be knowledgeable. So there is nothing to forgive them for their ignorance. You can just ignore the oversight, that's all. What is right in this question? Prolactin is not necessary for parturition. Does that mean estrogen-progesterone ratio is important? During the terminal stages of pregnancy, estrogen levels will rise, increasing the estrogen concentration in proportion to the progesterone. So estrogen-progesterone ratio increases. That also triggers the release of prostaglandins. So that is also right. Assertion reasoning. So as I have told you, when you are going through assertion reasoning questions, add because in between the assertion and reason. Now I will read the statements, or both the statements, with because in between, then we will see how it sounds. A person goes to a high altitude and experiences altitude sickness with symptoms like breathing difficulty and heart palpitations because due to low atmospheric pressure at high altitude, the body does not get sufficient oxygen. Correct? So both the statements are right. High altitude sickness is right, and the explanation is also right. If you look at the two statements separately, there might be confusions. But if you read both the statements in continuity, you will get a hint of the correctness. If a person goes and stays, if a person from the plains goes to high altitude and stays there for a while, what happens? What happens?
Number of RBCs will increase.
Number of RBCs will increase. What do you call that? Polycytosis. Polycytosis, sir. What do you call it? There are two possibilities, no? Either you can have increased RBC because of high altitude, increased RBC because of cancer. What is increased RBC because of high altitude?
Hyperemia.
Huh?
Hyperemia.
What emia? Hyperemia.
Polycythemia.
Polycythemia. Polycythemia. What polycythemia? What polycythemia? Polycythemia vera. VRA. Polycythemia is increased RBC count because of because of high altitude. What number should we consider? When do we consider it should be, it is physiological polycythemia or cancerous? When is, see, polycythemia will not cross 10 million per cubic millimeter. Okay? Normal RBC count is about 5 million per deciliter of blood. Not per deciliter, per cubic millimeter of blood. Per cubic millimeter or per deciliter? Per deciliter, I suppose. It will not be more than 10 million, even in physiological conditions. If it is more than 10 million, evaluate for any cancerous changes in the bone marrow. Okay, next. Following are the statements with reference to lipids. Choose the correct answer. If you find any statement which is wrong, option should not have that statement. If you find something is definitely right, the option should certainly have it. Now look at the statements. Lipids have only single bonds. Lipids having only single bonds are called unsaturated fatty acids. Is it right? What are unsaturated fatty acids? With double bond or triple bond or both. If they don't have any double bond or triple bond, only single bonds, they are called saturated fatty acids. So statement A is definitely wrong. Options with statement A should be eliminated. Check. Only option 1. Okay. Lecithin is a phospholipid. It is correct. So statement B should be a part of the options. So 3 and 4. You should check with C and D. You don't have a choice. You have to go through the statements. Trihydroxypropane is glycerol. That is correct. Trihydroxypropane is glycerol. Palmitic acid has 20 carbon atoms, including, no, that's okay, no, because only 2 they have given, B and C only. B and E only, if you choose, then C should be wrong. Just check with C. Arachidonic acid has 16 carbon atoms. That is wrong. Arachidonic acid is 20 carbon atoms. Palmitic acid is 16 carbon atoms. Okay. Adenosine deaminase deficiency results in, again, repetition. Last paper we had some other form of the same question. Now it is adenosine deaminase deficiency results in dysfunction of the immune system. Deoxyadenosine is a toxic substance which is metabolized by adenosine deaminase enzyme. Parkinson's disease will have this. When I was in 12th standard, one of our biology teachers, a very senior man, I think he is no more now, he had Parkinson's disease. A top class teacher, he has become old also and he had developed Parkinson's disease also, but he continued to teach. I think until he became very physically disabled, he continued to teach. That's the beauty of professions, no? Teacher, doctor, the older you are, the more valuable you become. So when I do career counseling to students, school students, I address them. I tell them 3 parameters to look at when choosing a career. And you might choose anything as your career, no problem, but you have to be aware of 3 things. Longevity of the career, how long can you do that? So your planning, your life planning vis-a-vis your career should be dependent on these 3 factors. Longevity of the career. The second one is autonomy. Will you have the freedom to do things your way, or you will always be dependent on somebody's instructions? That is the second option. Second thing you have to consider. And the third thing is value enhancement with age. Does your value increases with age or decreases with age? These 3 factors should tell you how you should manage your career. A sportsman, if you are a cricketer, professional cricketer, how long, what is the longevity of your career? Maximum till the age of 35. Earlier cricketers used to play till 39, 40 also. But now with the level of competitiveness and agility required, 32, 33 also seems old. People are already talking about Virat Kohli's retirement. Why doesn't he retire? He should allow youngsters to play. He's still 32, I suppose. So longevity is less. The profession you are aspiring to choose has all 3 on the higher side. The struggle to establish is a bit longer, no doubt. Longevity, you can continue to practice for as long as you are alive and sane. Second, autonomy. You don't have to depend on anybody. You can set up a tent and you can start practicing. If you are good as a doctor, people will come to your tent also. There is a doctor called 5 rupees doctor in Karnataka. He is a dermatologist. He sees about 300 patients every day. And he charges 5 rupees. 5 rupees. He is a farmer also. So he sits on the, what do you call that? On the outside of their house there will be a platform, no? Just to sit and relax. He'll sit there, people come, he will have this small bus ticket kind of prescription. No name, nothing on that. Just a small paper, he will write the prescription and give it to people. People throng him. Great service he has done. He has got the state award also. He contested elections and he lost badly. In the same place where he has served for 40 years. Tomorrow elections, no? Here. In Meghalaya, tomorrow elections are there. So, don't have an illusion that you serve people and they will make you win elections. They are different games. Serve people for your own satisfaction. If you want to play the game of electoral politics, play it. Understand you can play it well. You will not carry forward anything from your actors lose elections badly. People throng their rallies. Why? Just to see the actor. Okay, not to worry. Okay. Which of the following secretes the hormone relaxin during the later phase of pregnancy? We have exploited this question. Who produces relaxin? Corpus luteum. Alright, if somebody wakes you up in the night and asks you, we need relaxin for delivery, you will tell, go ask corpus luteum. Corpus luteum. Okay, if I say during pregnancy, during the terminal stages of pregnancy, which of the following 4, the 4 there, have no role? For delivery, which of the following 4 have no role? Has no role. Same options: Graafian follicle, corpus luteum, fetus, uterus. Graafian follicle. What role has fetus got in delivery? The fetus will give a trigger and the fetus will realign. The fetus will turn and position itself. It will engage in the pelvis. Fetus has to cooperate, no? If the fetus, you want to take somebody out of the door, you can tell them to walk out, easiest if they walk out. You can catch their hand, you can hold their hand and lead them, escort them. Okay, good. If they decide not to go out, then not possible. You will try to kick them out, they'll catch their hand and they'll hold the wall. Then they'll not go. Fetus has to cooperate for delivery to happen. Okay, next question. Identify the types of cell junctions that help to stop the leakage of substances across the tissue and facilitate communication with neighboring cells via rapid transfer of ions and molecules. What junction is that? Tight junctions. If you want rapid communication, rapid signal processing, you need tight junctions. If you want movement of material, you will need gap junctions. That's all. Now look at the options. If you want stability, if you want stress withstanding ability, you will have adhering junctions. Adhering junctions. All right. So the choices: stop leakage of substances and facilitate communication. Tight junctions and gap junctions, respectively. Tight junction will prevent leakage. Gap junction will help in communication, movement. Which of the following is not a step in MOET technology, multiple ovulation embryo transfer? MOET is the technique used in cattle, cows. You stimulate the cow with LH and FSH and LH. You stimulate the cow with FSH and LH injections. The cow's ovary will start will get stimulated. Multiple follicles will mature. You will capture these multiple follicles. You will capture these follicles. That is multiple ovulation. And then what is that idea? In vitro. In vitro, you will fertilize this ovum, multiple ovules, and allow it to develop into a 32 cell staged embryo. Then you transfer one embryo to different cows. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? Why do you want to do MOET? Why do you rear cows? What do you want from cows? Milk and meat. So, for those who are rearing cows, for meat. Milk and meat. So, what do you call a superior female and a superior male in cows? You call them elite animals. Elite cow and elite bull. Correct? Elite cow and elite bull. The cow in which you want to have a progeny, you want to get a progeny from your cow, whichever cow you are having, you want the best of the progeny to come. So you would want the embryo, which is a product of an elite cow and an elite bull, to be transferred into the uterus of your cow, so that the cow will give birth to a superior cow or bull. If it is a superior cow, the milk yield will be very high. If it is a superior bull, elite bull, you can use that bull for MOET. Technique is the same for assisted reproduction in human beings also. But the only thing is, you don't catch hold of two people and distribute embryos to everybody. You are doing it with them only, the respective parents. Alright? Okay, what is not a step in MOET? Cow is administered a hormone having LH-like activity for superovulation. Yes? It is a step. Cow yields about 6 to 8 eggs at a time. Correct? Cow is fertilized by artificial insemination. Cow is fertilized by artificial insemination. Should we consider that as a part of MOET? Look at the fourth statement. Fertilized eggs are transferred to surrogate mothers at 8 to 32 cell stage.
Option 1 is incorrect because it should like FSS like activity.
No, it's okay. Superovulation is induced. Ovulation is induced because of LH. development of the follicles is induced by FSH-like hormone. Okay, so it is still fine. Hormone having LH-like activity for superovulation. For stimulation of the follicles growth, follicular growth, you would have already given FSH. Hormone induction will be two-phase. Okay, so which one do we consider as wrong? Artificial insemination is wrong because artificial insemination is not transfer of embryo. Artificial insemination is what? Transferring the semen of a bull into the uterus of the cow, artificially. Otherwise, it is naturally it is copulation. Artificially, you are injecting it into the cow. Artificial insemination is also an assisted reproductive technique, but it is not a part of MOET. Next. Matching again. Catch hold of one thing. This has become very commonly repeated. Filariasis is Ucheraria bancrofti A3. Only one choice. Amoebiasis, Ectoamoeba histolytica, pneumonia, Haemophilus influenzae, ringworm, trichophyton. Matching again. Allen's rule. 1 rank, 100 admission. No, not that. Allen's rule is? Love it. Huh? Yes. Surface. What is Allen's rule? Shorter extremities in animals living in colder regions. Short ears, short limbs. These are all polar region animals. To minimize heat loss, polar seal, Allen's rule. Physiological adaptation. See, there are 3 types of adaptations given. All 4 are adaptations only. Allen's rule is also talking about adaptation only. Phenotypic adaptation, that is. Physiological adaptation, behavioral adaptation, biochemical adaptation. If you are not sure, Allen's rule, polar seal, look at that. Oh. All 4 options have A4. Okay. So you need to get one more at least. Physiological adaptation. What is the adaptation, physiological adaptation in kangaroo rat? Heavily concentrated urine. Heavily concentrated urine. So concentration of urine increases in kangaroo rat, and that is an adaptation, physiological adaptation. Behavioral adaptation. Behavioral adaptation. What is the adaptation? What is the adaptation in desert lizard? It seeks shade. It seeks shade during the very sunny times, and other times it comes out of shade. So it is trying to adapt. It's like taking out an umbrella. Biochemical adaptation. Marine fish at depth. What is the adaptation required at the depths of the ocean? You need to have ability to sustain the high pressure. Some proteins from fishes are introduced into a crop. Which protein and which crop? For doing what? Huh? Omega-3 fatty acids, no. Which protein and which crop? The crop we already discussed today. Antifreeze protein is the protein taken from fishes which are living in the polar regions, and it is put into which crop? The fruit of which crop? Brinjal. Why? You need to have a logic. No, antifreeze protein. What is that? This protein does not allow water to crystallize and freeze at lower temperatures. Huh? Tomato. Why do you want antifreeze protein in tomato? What is the problem that you are solving by introducing antifreeze protein in tomato? Tomato is correct.
Because at low temperature,
Hmm?
enzymatic action is
See, if you refrigerate it, it can be stored for longer. Shelf life increases. But if you refrigerate it, tomato has a lot of water inside it. If it freezes, it will change the nature of the. It will change its texture and it will damage the fruit. It's like freezing and thawing will destroy the vegetable. Olive. Antifreeze protein, remember, not related to this. But anyways, we saw polar fish seal. So matching again, adaptive radiation, convergent evolution, divergent evolution, evolution by anthropogenic action. Repeat question, huh? Okay, catch hold of evolution by anthropogenic action, let us see. Anthropogenic action is human interference. So which one do you want to select for anthropogenic action? One, selection of resistant varieties due to excessive use of herbicides and pesticides. They develop that level of resistance because of our usage of herbicides and pesticides. So D1, only one option. Option 1. Cross check with the others now. Adaptive radiation. Just recall the concepts. Adaptive radiation is seen among members of different species surviving in the similar environments. True or false? Adaptive radiation is seen among members of different species surviving in the same environment. False. What is wrong about the statement? Adaptive radiation is same species, different environments. That is adaptive radiation. They have the same structure, belong to the same species, but because they are surviving in different environments, they adapt to that and have some phenotypic variations. Convergent evolution. Convergent evolution gives rise to what organs? Convergent evolution gives rise to analogous organs, different structure, similar functions. Divergent evolution gives rise to homologous organs, similar structure, different functions. Okay. Codon AUG codes for methionine and phenylalanine. Statement 1. Statement 2. AAA and AAG both codons code for the amino acid lysine. See now, one of the statements you can be absolutely sure. Statement 1. The other one, tricky because you don't remember the entire table of 64 codons, which codon codes for what. So 50-50 is easy in this. Statement 1 is false. Statement 1 is false. So statement 1 and option 1 and 3 ruled out. AA and AAG both codes for amino acid lysine is a true statement. How do we go? How do we get this? Difficult. Just hope these kind of questions where you have to remember a lot of list items don't appear. AAG and AAA and AAG. See, AAA is lysine. UUU you can remember. UUU is phenylalanine. Okay. AUG is methionine. See, even if you don't remember AUG is methionine, any codon given in the first statement would have still been wrong. Why? Any codon in the first statement would have still made the statement wrong. Why? Why?
For methionine only one codon is used.
Okay, suppose I gave you phenylalanine. I gave you something else, some other codon. AUG, you know it is methionine. I give you some other codon, GAG. You don't know what that codon is for. But still, the statement is wrong. Why? What? No.
One codon can code for only one amino acid.
One codon can code only for one amino acid. What is the property? Codons are unambiguous. There is no confusion. One codon, one amino acid. But one amino acid can be coded by multiple codons. You can say this and this and this also codes for, all three code for a particular amino acid. That's fine. Codons are unambiguous. Okay. Statement 1 being wrong is irrespective of what the codon was. Last one, paper 9. Following are the statements about the prostomium of earthworm. Prostomium is the mouth part. Correct answer. Serves as a covering for the mouth. True or false? True. Helps to open cracks in the soil into which it can crawl. That is how it does. It breaks open the soil and creates spaces in the soil. It is one of the sensory structures. Correct? It is the first body segment. Correct. All four are correct. Paper 10. Today is India-Bangladesh match in the Champions Trophy. Bangladesh has scored 228 all out. India is 88 for 1 in 16 overs. Will we win? I can't identify 80% of the cricket team now. So that is how connected I am with the current cricket. Shubman Gill is there, he is not out at 38. Rohit Sharma is out at 41. Tendulkar is also very interested in Shubman Gill's performance. I don't know whether it is true or not, but media speculates that Tendulkar is interested in Shubman Gill's performance. Right? Assertion and reasoning. Question 101. Okay. Assertion. The first, again, use because in between. The first stage of gametophyte in the life cycle of moss is protonema stage because protonema develops directly from the spores produced in the capsule. Both are correct. There is alternation of generation that we see in moss. Moss is what? Mosses are bryophytes. Bryophytes. What type of life cycle do we see in mosses? Haplodiploidic. Haplodiploidic. Alright? Okay. In angiosperms, the haploid, diploid and triploid structures of a fertilized embryo sac sequentially are. Don't look at the options. Now embryo sac is fertilized. In the fertilized embryo sac, which are the haploid, diploid and triploid cells? Don't look at the options. Just visualize the fertilized embryo sac and tell me the options. Tell me the answer. What are the haploid cells in a fertilized embryo sac? Synergids and antipodal cells are haploid. Which one is diploid? The zygote is diploid. And which one is triploid? Primary endosperm cell or the primary endosperm. Now look at the option. Synergids, primary endosperm nucleus and zygote. Is it right? Haploid, diploid and triploid? Wrong. Synergids are haploid, no doubt. Primary endosperm nucleus is triploid. So it has to be synergid, zygote and primary endosperm nucleus. So no need to explain too much. Done this earlier. Movement and accumulation of ions across a membrane against their concentration gradient can be explained by against concentration gradient movement is possible because of active transportation, osmosis, facilitated diffusion, passive transport, active transport. All four are different modes of transportation. If you want to take out the odd one from the four, from all the four options given here, which one do you pick up as the odd one? Which one do you pick up as the odd one? Osmosis, facilitated diffusion, passive transport, active transport. Why?
ATP is not good.
Okay. In the others, you don't need ATP. Alright. Pick the odd one from the perspective of the movement of materials.
Osmosis.
Why?
Osmosis is the diffusion of water.
Osmosis is the movement of water molecules and not the solutes. In the other three, solutes can move. Facilitated diffusion, passive transport also solutes can move. Active transport also solutes move. Can facilitated diffusion happen against concentration gradient? No. If it happens against concentration gradient, it is not diffusion, it is active transport. Large, colorful, fragrant flowers with nectar are seen in insect pollinated plants, bird pollinated plants, bat pollinated plants, wind pollinated plants. Insect pollinated plants. What kind of flowers do you want if you expect birds to pollinate them? Bright red, large, bell-shaped flowers. Tubular flowers. What do you call insect pollination? Technical term for insect pollination. Entomophily. Bird pollination. Ornithophily. Who is called as the Birdman of India? There is one person who is referred to as the Birdman of India. Did you have a lesson about him in school? No? We had a lesson about him in school in our English textbook. Who is it? Birdman? You don't know? Very short statured man, but very highly respected for studying birds. He is the most celebrated ornithologist. Who is he? No? What do you know? You pointed out to somebody. Salim Ali. Salim Ali. It's called the Birdman of India. Okay. What do you call bat pollinated plants? Bat pollination is called Chiropterophily. Chiropterophily. Chiroptera bats. How is the flowers be bat pollination? How do you want the flowers to be if you want them to be pollinated by bats? Do you want bright color? Why? Bats don't see, so you don't waste energy on color. Plants don't have to waste energy and resources on color. So dull colored flowers. Then they have to be night bloomers. Because bats are active during the night time, no? Bats are active during the night time. So it's just like pollination. Who you are impressing. Insects are high value customers. They have to be impressed well. So the flowers are putting in scent, giving nice sweets, colorful, all of that. Pleiotropism. The corollary of pleiotropism also you have to tell me. What is pleiotropism? Don't look at the options. You have to tell me what is pleiotropism and you have to tell me the corollary of pleiotropism. Corollary is reverse, not opposite. What is pleiotropism? One gene influences more than one trait. That is pleiotropism. What is the corollary of that? Polygenic inheritance. Multiple genes influencing a single trait. Polygenic inheritance. Okay. Now look at it. Phenomena of pleiotropism refers to presence of several alleles of a single gene controlling a single crossover. What do you call that? Presence of several alleles of a single gene? Polygenic inheritance. Presence of two alleles, each of the two genes controlling a single trait. Statement itself is wrong. A single gene affecting multiple phenotypic expressions, that is correct for pleiotropism. More than two genes affecting a single character, that is. Statement 4 is a reference to polygenic inheritance. Sickle cell anemia is pleiotropic gene. The gene for sickle cell anemia is pleiotropic gene. Which hormone promotes internode or petiole elongation in deep water rice? Whichever is the plant, internode elongation is brought about by gibberellin. Internode elongation is brought about by gibberellin, GA3. GA3 is gibberellic acid. What is kinetin? Kinetin is cytokinin. What is the other name for cytokinin if you extract it from maize plants? Zeatin. Zeatin, kinetin, cytokinin, all are same. Ethylene is a fruit ripening hormone. 2,4-D was a part of the previous paper also. 2,4-D is used as herbicide, broadleaf plants, broadleaf weeds, weedicide. 2,4-D is what chemically? It is a synthetic oxide. Among the evil quartet, which one is considered the most important cause driving species extinction? What is evil quartet? The 4 major causes of extinction. Okay? Habitat destruction, co-extinction. One is going, the other one is also gone. Like in the mycorrhizal association. If one of them goes, the other one is gone. Okay? Then overexploitation. You exploit some particular species more and more. You bring it down below sustenance level. Then you can have invasive species as one of the reasons for extinction. So which of these 4 is more important? The single most important cause of extinction of species. Habitat loss and fragmentation, habitat destruction, that is the most critical. Overexploitation happens because of hunting, poaching, commercial value. Overexploitation is done by only human beings, no other animal overexploits it. They are always dependent on the forces of nature. Invasive species, overcompeting species. Parthenium. Parthenium is an invasive species. You grow Parthenium, it will not allow anything else to grow. Nobody will grow Parthenium, it grows. Alright. There is a colloquial name to Parthenium in Karnataka. Nobody will understand if you call it Parthenium. They call it Congress plant. Old name. Why? Probably when the time they gave the name, those were the times when Congress was everywhere. Wherever you see, there is Congress. Like this plant. But it is a bad correlation because Parthenium is useless. It has no utility. It grows very fast. It is seen everywhere. But it has no use. It has got no use for human existence. So was it an innocent reference to the presence, or was it a deliberate signaling I don't know, but that is a name. You can search for it after May 4th. Upon exposure to UV radiation, DNA stained with ethidium bromide will show what color? Don't look at the options. Bright orange. What coincidence? We just spoke about Parthenium being referred to as Congress plant, and the next question is talking about bright orange. Again, we don't know coincidence or correlation or deliberate distortion by me. Alright? So we don't know. Orange is the reference color for BJP, no? Anyways. Which micronutrient is required for splitting of water molecule during photosynthesis? Manganese. What do you call that reaction? Photolysis of water has got a reaction. Name. Hill reaction. Hill's reaction. Okay, photolysing complex. Photolysing complex is associated with what? Photosystem 2. Photolysing complex is associated with photosystem 2. So photolysing complex is the primary supplier of dash to photosystem 2. Electrons. Okay. Manganese is the ion required, micronutrient required. Axine placentation is observed in. This is one of the 10 questions in my mind. Out of the 90 questions, 10 questions is the margin for taking the help of God. I have asked my friends who are botany experts. Botany is like an acquired taste for me, not natural. No? Human physiology, evolutionary biology, cell biology, biotechnology, all of these are natural. I have done extensive study on that as a part of a medical training. Botany, I have learned it to be able to teach. But I have still not got one person who has given me some logical way of remembering these things. I have to remember, it's a list of things you have to remember. That's all. Like you remember drugs. But there is logic for drugs. So I'll tell you the answer, you can remember. Axial placentation is in tomato, dianthus and pea. How to remember that? You have to excuse me for not knowing the logic to remember these kind of lists. If anybody knows how to remember that, please tell me. Can anybody remember this list? You can? How?
China से टमाटो लेकर आओ.
It is one or two costs. China said tomato लेकर आओ. Only 2 plants.
China से टमाटो लेकर.
Okay. So what kind of placentation is seen in mustard? Primrose. Anyways, remember the types of placentation and examples. The process of appearance of recombination nodules occurs at which substage of prophase 1 in meiosis? Recombination nodules are protein-driven regions in the chromosomes where recombination is happening. They drive recombination. The recombination nodules drive recombination. When do you see recombination in prophase 1? When do you see recombination in prophase 1? Leptotene, zygote, pachytene, diplotene, diakinesis. Pachytene. Bivalent is seen in? Bivalent is seen in? Bivalent. Synapses is seen in? Bivalent is seen in? Bivalent is seen when? Bivalent is coming together. Leptotene. They come and align together is bivalent. They shake hands is synapse. That is zygote. They exchange material is pachytene. They start separating chiasma, diplotene, terminalization, diakinesis. reaction center in photosystem 2 has an absorption maxima at photosystem 2 is P680. P680. Photosystem 1 is P700. P680 is present in which part of the reaction center? The reaction center is the center of the chlorophyll complex. You have what do you have? You have the reaction center and you have the antenna complex. The reaction center is P680. That means pigment which has its absorption maximum at 680 nanometer. The other pigments in the surroundings, antenna complex, they have other spectrum that they can absorb. Why do you need antenna complex in the photosystem? Why do you need antenna complex in the photosystem? Photosystems are a package of a lot of pigments, at the center of which is the reaction center from which electrons are stimulated. Reaction center is the center where electrons are triggered. Around that you have other pigments which are called antenna complexes. Why do we need this kind of an arrangement?
Better reflection and to prevent it from photo-oxidation.
Better absorption, prevent photo-oxidation, and the energy absorbed by the reaction center alone is not enough to excite an electron out of its orbit. The other antenna complex pigments which absorb energy also transfer their energy absorbed to the reaction center, which will increase the energy available at the reaction center to excite an electron. Okay. Unequivocal proof that DNA is the genetic material was first proposed by Hershey Chase. Griffith's experiment is popularly called as transformation experiment. In which organism did he do it? Streptococcus pneumoniae. Avery, McLeod and McCarthy confirmed that the transforming principle is DNA. Hershey Chase proved DNA is the genetic material using what? Bacteriophages. Bacteriophages. X-ray crystallography, Wilkinson factory. Among eukaryotes, replication of DNA takes place in, again, this is repeat, S phase. In tissue culture experiments, leaf mesophyll cells are put in a culture medium to form a callus. This phenomenon is called de-differentiation. De-differentiation, correct. So what all should we remember? Initially every cell is a meristematic cell. When they become a functional cell by losing their ability to multiply, what do you call that? Differentiation. When they again become meristematic, de-differentiation. They after de-differentiation they multiply for a while and again become functional cell. That is re-differentiation. Addiction, de-addiction, re-addiction. Everybody is without addiction to start with. Sometime they become addicted. Depends on the force required that influences them to get de-addicted. Either motivational talk or demotivational slaps. Okay. Either ways it works. De-addiction. Then no respect for de-addiction. Re-addiction. Do you know the biggest social grouping of alcoholics or social support group for alcoholics in the world? There is a social support group for alcoholics. It is a serious problem. See, every alcoholic wants to get de-addicted from alcohol. No alcoholic wants to continue to remain an alcoholic because human beings can see what is going on with them, with their life. They are not able to manage their health is deteriorating, their social status is going down, financially they are going down, respect is going down, family doesn't treat them well, all of that is there. So they want to get out. but they are not able to get out. What is the biggest limiting factor there? What is the biggest thing that prevents them from getting out of alcohol addiction? One, the genuine dependence. There is dependence. You don't consume alcohol, your body will start throwing a big rebellion, and which cannot be managed without alcohol. Severe headache, severe body pain, restlessness, breathlessness, lot of symptoms will manifest. You can give drugs, but the biggest challenge for alcoholics to stay away from alcohol is a support group. Once they give up alcohol, people are not trained, their family and friends, they are not trained to keep them there. They will constantly keep doubting whether they will get back to alcohol. There is no support, emotional support. The biggest social support group for alcoholics in the world is AA. What is AA? Alcoholics Anonymous. Alcoholics Anonymous. See, you should think on these lines. Creating support groups where everybody in the group is are having common problems and common aspirations. Why each of you here can cooperate and collaborate with each other and benefit from the group is because this is a narrow group. All your aspirations are similar. Your aspirations are similar and the challenges you face are also similar. So you can share with each other. You can get solutions from each other. Peer support is a big advantage. So when you move forward also, you should try and make a small peer group which is supportive. Not group which will make you bunk classes and go for movies. Alcoholics Anonymous, support group. Welcome. Okay, differentiation, dedifferentiation, redifferentiation. Cellulose does not form a blue color with iodine because it is a disaccharide. Wrong. It is a helical molecule. Is cellulose helical or linear? Cellulose is linear. It does not contain complex helices and hence cannot hold iodine molecules. That is the right choice. It breaks down when iodine reacts with it. No. Iodine has to be held in the helices, in the folds. So that is the requirement. Cellulose is not. Iodine test is positive for which one? Iodine test is done to detect what? Starch. Starch is a helical structure, so that can trap iodine molecules, and iodine turns blue-black. When you add iodine to starch, it turns blue-black. Bluish-black. Iodine test is for starch. Spraying which of the following phytohormones on juvenile conifers helps in hastening the maturity period leading to early seed production? What will stimulate seed production? Which hormone stimulates seed production? Gibberellin. Gibberellic acid stimulates seed production. So gibberellic acid promotes stem elongation, seed germination and flowering. Indole 3-butyric acid is what? What is I3BA? Auxin. Auxin. Zeatin, cytokinin, abscisic acid, dormancy, seed dormancy and growth inhibition. Two statements again. It's just not assertion reasoning, but correctness or wrong. What is correct and what is wrong. The forces generated by transpiration can lift a xylem-sized column of water over 130 meters. Is it possible? Transpiration? Why not? Xylem is a small tube. There is continuity of water flow. If the water molecules are continuously exiting from the stomata and it is just pulling one molecule at a time, what is the theory that explains movement of water because of transpiration pull? Adhesion, cohesion theory. Adhesion, cohesion theory. The water molecules are cohesed with each other. They adhere to the walls of the xylem vessels. So 130 meters is also possible. We have, which is the biggest tree? The red Bulbo arteria. What is that? Some 100 meters tall or something. Which is that? Red sequoia. Red sequoia tree. Why did I say that? Bulbo? Rocky Bulbo. Have you watched Rocky movies?
Yes, sir.
Rocky? You can watch. one of these days. This Sunday you can watch. Rocky movies are very motivating movies. You know what is special about Rocky? Rocky is a boxer. Rocky Balboa is a boxer. It's a survival necessity for him. He is a good boxer. It's a survival necessity. And one thing is, nobody knocks out Rocky. He will lose. You can defeat him, but you cannot knock him out. So nobody wins against Rocky by a knockout. So all the opponents attempt is to knock him out. It has never happened in all the series, and he has become old, so no more movies are coming on the same branches. So it's a good movie if you watch it this week. Statement 2, transpiration cools leaf surfaces sometimes by 10 to 15 degrees through evaporative cooling. Yes. Both are right. Both statements are correct. See, evaporative cooling is the same mechanism which cools down our body also during extreme heat in the surroundings. Fabaceae, Solanaceae and Liliaceae difference we have to find out with respect to the stamens. Which feature is unique to Fabaceae? Yesterday only we saw Fabaceae 9+1 arrangement, no? Fabaceae is 9+1 arrangement. So 9+1 means how many bundles are there? 2 bundles. So it is diadelphous. Diadelphous and dithecus. Diadelphous and dithecus anthers. Expressed sequence tags refers to ESTs are found where? Where do we produce ESTs? Expressed sequence tags. Expressed sequence tags. See, when we have to do genetic mapping, DNA mapping, with human beings, let's say you know what are the proteins being produced. You know what are the proteins being produced. Reverse engineer, produce an mRNA which corresponds to that protein. Develop a complementary DNA strand to that protein and use this complementary DNA to bind to the sequences of DNA. And wherever it has bound, you take those sequences and study. These are expressed sequence tags. Tag is what? You are identifying. Identification tags are being put. So you can study the entire sequence of DNA and study the entire genome. There are different methods for that. And you can study the expressed portions of the DNA. What are expressed portions of the DNA? What can we refer to them as? The expressed portions of the DNA are the genes which are expressed. So if you want to study the sequence of that, you produce a complementary sequence to the mRNA and make them bind to that. That is expressed sequence tag identification. What do you need for developing expressed sequence tags? What are they? They are complementary DNA strands. Short sequences of complementary DNA strands. Complementary to what? Complementary to? Derived from what? What do we derive that from? We derive ESTs from mRNA. So expressed sequence tags refer to all genes that are expressed as RNA, all genes that are expressed as proteins, all genes whether expressed or unexpressed, certain important expressed genes. Which one do you want to choose? We are using mRNA to build a complementary DNA sequence. That is the expressed sequence tag. So which option do you want to choose in these 4? All genes that are expressed as RNA. All genes that are expressed as RNA is what we use for express sequence tags. Again, identify the correct statements. There are 5 statements. Combination of 3 each is given as options. So let us identify one, right or wrong, then we will see. Detritivores perform fragmentation. True or false? True. So A should be a part of it because all the options are telling about only. That means if A is not involved, the option is considering A to be wrong. So anything without A should be eliminated. Option 2 and 3 eliminated. Between 1 and 4, look at the, only A is similar. So you have to check for all the 4, B, C, D, E. If you get B, C right, Then D you can eliminate. If you get D right, then BC you have to eliminate. Let's we have to look at all 4 then. Humus is further degraded by some microbes during mineralization. It is correct. Water soluble inorganic nutrients go down into the soil and get precipitated by a process called leaching. That is also correct. Fragmentation, leaching, catabolism, demineralization, all of these are part of decomposition. Detritus food chain begins with living organisms. Wrong. Detritus food chain begins with dead organisms. Earthworms break down detritus into smaller particles via catabolism. What is wrong? It is via fragmentation and not catabolism. So ABC only. Amitabh Bachchan became pauper at one point of time before he started doing KBC. He ventured into, in 90s was the time when there was a lot of hype about Indians becoming Miss World, Miss Universe, winning beauty pageants. Amitabh Bachchan ventured into that business and he became a pauper. He filed for bankruptcy also. The company he had made to do that business was ABC, Amitabh Bachchan Corporation, ABC. It failed. KBC saved him. So, KBC से कौन बना करोड़पति? Amitabh Bachchan. Amitabh Bachchan certainly became a crorepati because of that. Look at him. He is the example of how long should you work? Every year you have some movie of Amitabh Bachchan. Age appropriate roles he is doing. Right? You continue to work as long as you are alive. You can never be workless. You can be jobless. To not have a need to have a job is a luxury. To choose not to work is lethargy, laziness. That will lead to idle mind, which will become a what? Levin's workshop. Thickness of ozone in a column of air in the atmosphere is measured in terms of Dobson unit. Repetition. 2 papers give Dobson unit continuously. Dobson unit is 1 Dobson unit is, let us see if you remember. 1 Dobson unit is 10 micrometer. 1 Dobson unit is 10 micrometers. Decibel is used for the measurement of sound intensity. Kilobases are used for the measurement of nucleic acids. Kilobases is used for the measurement of the length of nucleic acids. Okay, assertion reasoning now. Late wood has pure xylary elements with narrow vessels. Late wood is also called autumn wood. Early wood is referred to as spring wood. Late wood is autumn wood. Okay, reason cambium is less active in winters. Now, late wood has fewer xylary elements with narrow vessels because cambium is less active in winters. Now, is late wood produced during winters is the first question. Do they have narrow vessels? Is cambium less active in winters? Those are the questions that you have to get. Late wood is referred to as autumn wood. Autumn is winter or summer? That is the confusion for me also. Sorry. Late wood, autumn wood has narrow vessels, dense wood, narrow vessels and dense wood formed in winters when the cambial activity is low. So that it will have narrow bands also. So both statements are correct. And reason Vaginella and Salvinia, the others are homosporous. Pteridophytes, heterospory, the spores are microspore and megaspore. Which one is bigger? Complete megaspore. In the gene gun method used to introduce alien DNA into host cells, microparticles of which metal are used? Which metal do you use in gene gun? Tungsten or gold? Bullets are made of tungsten or gold. What is the technical name for gene gun method of introducing DNA? Gene delivery technique? Biolistics. Assertion reasoning again. Endark and exarch are terms often used for describing the position of secondary xylem in plants. True or false? Secondary xylem. See, endark and exarch is a reference to what? It is a reference to the position of protoxylem. It is a reference to the position of protoxylem. If the protoxylem is towards the center, if it is centripetal development, it is called endark. If it is centrifugal, it is outside. Centrifugal, it is exarch. So, are we talking about the secondary xylem and phloem or the primary xylem and phloem here? Endark and exarch? Primary xylem and phloem. So, statement 1 is wrong. Statement 2, exarch condition is the most common feature of root system. True. How do we remember this? Root has exarch and stem has endarch. The protoxylem in root is towards the outside. The protoxylem in stem is towards the inside. Statement 1 is wrong. Statement 2 is right. First use of recombination frequency for gene mapping. Who first used recombination frequency between gene pairs on the same chromosome to map genes? Alfred Studeman. Morgan is the one who identified linkage. Morgan identified linkage. Sutton and Boveri have given what theory? Chromosomal theory of inheritance. Okay. Gene mapping was done in which organism? Drosophila. For every experiment, what insect will be used? Drosophila. For all experiments, what animal will be used? What mammal will be used? For testing anything that has to be given to human beings? Rats and guinea pigs. Any experimental, any experimentation you have to do a reference also. You tell no, don't try it on me, I am not your guinea pig. Given below are two statements. ATP is used at 2 steps in glycolysis. Is it true? Tell me the 2 steps in which ATP is used in glycolysis.
1,3.
Glucose 2, glucose 6-phosphate and fructose 6-phosphate to fructose 1,6-bisphosphate. These are the 2 places where we use ATP. Enzymes. And are these 2 reversible reactions or irreversible reactions? Irreversible. What are the enzymes? Hexokinase and phosphofructokinase. Which is the rate limiting reaction of glycolysis? PFK reaction. Phosphofructokinase is the rate limiting enzyme. How much can glycolysis go on is dependent on how much of phosphofructokinase is available. So, assertion is true. Reason, first ATP is used in converting glucose to glucose 6-phosphate and second ATP is used in converting fructose 6-phosphate to fructose 1,6-bisphosphate. Correct, no? Both A and R are correct and R is the correct explanation of A. Which one of the following statements is not correct? Not correct. Microorganisms in sewage polluted water consume oxygen, causing the death of aquatic organisms. True. What do they increase? What do these microorganisms increasing because of the sewage contamination in water? what does it increase? It increases BOD. Algal bloom caused by excess organic matter improve water quality and promote fisheries. Wrong. Algal bloom destroy the ecosystem, lead to the death of fishes. Water hyacinth grows abundantly in eutrophic water bodies and disrupts ecosystems. That is true. What is eutrophic water bodies? What do you mean by eutrophication? Eutrophication is the enrichment of water bodies with nutrients. Okay, it is not a beneficial thing, it is because of addition of organic wastes into water bodies. Toxic industrial waste accumulates at higher trophic levels in organisms. What is it called? Accumulation of toxic wastes in higher trophic levels. What do you call it? Biomagnification. Biomagnification. How many different proteins does the ribosome consist of? 80, 60, 40, 20. It is 80, assuming it is eukaryotic ribosome. Eukaryotic ribosome has two subunits. What are the two subunits of eukaryotic ribosome? 60S and 40S. 60S ribosome has about 66 protein components, 49 protein components, and 40S ribosome has about 33 protein components, totaling to about 82. Among the given options, it is 80. There used to be one television show. It used to be called Adarsha Dampatigalu. That means ideal couple in Kannada. Okay, very popular actor used to host that. One of the rounds in that show would be to guess the price of saree. Who should guess it? Husband or wife? Husband should guess it. That is the round. Whoever gets it right or whose guess is closer to the price, they will get the saree. Now this question is like that. Total 82, so approximately 80. 80 is closer to the actual number of proteins. Again, Klinefelter syndrome, correct statements. Klinefelter syndrome, correct statements. Disorder first described by Langdon-Down. We have a Down syndrome also. Even if you don't know who Langdon-Down is, we can assume that it might be Down. Let us see the others. Such individuals have overall masculine development but show some feminine traits. Is that correct? That is correct. So B is right. B should be a part of the choice. Oh. A is still not, we are still not able to eliminate. So we need to find something else also to be right. Affected individuals are short statured. Is it right? Does Klinefelter syndrome lead to short stature? There is no correlation. You can have a Klinefelter syndrome individual who is short, but that shortness is not because of Klinefelter syndrome. Physical, psychomotor and mental development is retarded. No, D is wrong. Such individuals are sterile. That is correct. B and D only are right. Okay, match the following. What do you want to catch hold of? Glycolysis. Okay. What will you take for glycolysis? What will you choose for glycolysis?
EMP.
Huh? EMP pathway. That's the other name. What is EMP? Emden-Meyerhof Parnasse pathway. That is the name of the scientists who discovered this. Okay, so glycolysis B should be for all the three options have that. Pick one more.
Oxidative phosphorylation.
Oxidative phosphorylation. That is electron transport chain. C should be 3. Now we are able to narrow it down. Option 4. A2 oxidative decarboxylation, pyruvate dehydrogenase. What is the product of oxidative decarboxylation? What is the product of oxidative decarboxylation? Acetyl-CoA. Acetyl-CoA is the product. Tricarboxylic acid cycle, TCA cycle, is also citric acid cycle. is also Krebs cycle, where citrate synthase is acting on what? What is citrate synthase acting on? What is the substrate for citrate synthase? Oxaloacetate and acetyl-CoA combines both of that to form citrate synthase. Okay, option 4. Given below are two statements, assertion and reason. We know the options are always the same. So let's check. Flower is a modified shoot where the shoot apical meristem changes to floral meristem. Is it correct?
Yes.
That is correct. How the floral meristem is formed. Internodes of the shoot get condensed to produce different floral appendages laterally at successive nodes instead of leaves. That is true. That is how flowers develop. Flower is also modified leaf only, modified shoot, modified leaf. So both A and R are true, and R is the correct explanation of assertion. Again, one more assertion reason first. In gymnosperms, pollen grains are released from the microsporangium and carried by air currents. Is it true? Gymnosperms, pollination is anemophily, air only. There is no insect because gymnosperm is very stingy, conjuice. It did not spend resources on developing something for the pollinator. So pollinators boycotted gymnosperms. So they have to depend only on what is naturally available, free of cost, air. So everything comes at a cost. If you are not willing to pay the cost, then you will pay the price. You will understand this later. I will not explain. Everything comes at a cost. If you are not willing to pay the cost, you will have to pay the price. Price will be of value. If you look at it with cost and price. Cost is tangible in that sense. In those two. Anyways, not go there. Assertion is correct. Reason: air currents carry pollen to the archegonia where male gametes are discharged and the pollen tube is not formed. Is it right? Is it gymnosperm fertilization without pollen tube formation? There is pollen tube formation. The first half is correct. Air currents carry pollen to the archegonia where male gametes are discharged and pollen tube is formed. Pollen tube is not formed is wrong. Okay? So assertion is true, reason is false. Again match the following. We got it, no? Same. Previous paper. Your theory seems to be right. Okay. Same, it is outright, directly from the same paper. Shamelessly keeping the same order of the lists also. Cohesion, attraction towards cohesion is mutual attraction. Adhesion is towards polar surface tension. More attraction in liquid phase, guttation, water loss in liquid phase. Direct, straight out of the previous paper. Which of the following combinations is required for chemiosmosis? What is chemiosmosis? Where do you find chemiosmosis? Or what is explained by chemiosmotic theory? Chemiosmosis explains what? Electron transport chain. The movement, the creation of a proton gradient for the purpose of production of ATP by the ATP synthase across a membrane. In mitochondria, across the inner mitochondrial membrane. In chloroplast, it is across the thylakoid membrane. That is chemiosmosis. Electron transport chain involves transport of electrons across the transportation gradient, across electron gradient, and also chemiosmosis, movement of hydrogen ions across the membrane against concentration gradient to create a gradient for hydrogen ions. Why do you need this gradient for hydrogen ions? For the passive flow of hydrogen ions through what? Passive flow of hydrogen ions through ATP synthase, which will bring about hybridization of ADP with phosphate to produce ATP. So what all is required for chemiosmosis? Do we need a membrane? Yes. Do we need proton pump? Gradient? Yes. Then ATP synthase? Yes. We don't need NADP synthase. Pump, electron gradient, ATP synthase, all of that being without membrane, there is no point. Because you have to create a gradient. To create a gradient, you need a membrane across which you create a gradient. Malonate inhibits the growth of pathogenic bacteria by inhibiting the activity of, again, repetition. In one of the previous papers, we had seen malonate was the inhibitor of succinate dehydrogenase. Succinate dehydrogenase. Cytochrome C oxidase is inhibited by which toxin? Powerful toxin. Terrorists keep that in the locket. Cyanide. Cyanide blocks cytochrome C oxidase. So thereby shutting down electron transport chain. No ATP, no metabolism is death. Biologically, absence of metabolism is death. Presence of metabolism is life. And metabolism is a state of equilibrium. True or false? Metabolism is a state of equilibrium.
Yes.
No. Metabolism is a state of continuous change. Metabolism is a state of continuous change. Equilibrium is a state of no change. So if you correlate biological definition of what it is to be alive and to be dead to life, to be alive is to be in a state of continuous change. To remain in a state of no change is the sign of death. Should you take pride in telling people that I have been like this forever and I will continue to be like this forever. I don't change. Change is the only constant. Anybody who says that I don't change are dangerous. Because they are refusing to change in spite of everything around them and within them changing. They will not accept the change that is happening in them, and they will not adapt to the change that is happening around them. They will make your life not so pleasant. Alright? So, having an understanding that everything changes and everything changes continuously, including yourself, is good for life, because when you accept that change is constant, you will attempt to adapt. If you refuse to accept that there is change, then your attempt will be to deny change. That's all. You cannot keep refusing change and refuse to see the reality, what's going on. Okay. Then what is homeostasis? We have metabolism, equilibrium. Metabolism is life, equilibrium is death. What is homeostasis? Managing the change within a range. Correct, no? To be alive is to adapt to change. When there is no change, it is death. But what is life? Manage the change within a range. That is life. So there is equilibrium in the range, not in the value. Next. Identifying correct statements. A, B, C, D, E. 5 statements are there. There are different combinations. Check for one which will help you to eliminate options. Statement A, we will start with statement A. Lenticels are lens-shaped openings permitting gas exchange. True or false? True, it is a correct statement. So any option should have A. The correct option should have A. Anything without A is wrong option. So we eliminate option 1 and 4. Between 2 and 3, A, D are common. You have to check for B, whether B is true or false. Alright? So B, bark formed early in the season is called hard bark. Bark formed early in the season is called hard bark. Is it true?
No.
What do you call it? Early in the season is soft bark. Huh? Is it not hard bark? Bark formed early in the season is hard bark. What do we have to correlate it with? Do we have to correlate it with autumn wood development or spring wood development? Early wood is autumn wood, denser, more thicker. So early bark also should be correlated with that hard bark. Alright. So both are correct. We will cross check that once. We will check that once. Okay. You also check it. I also will have to look at it. Early bark, is it hard bark or soft bark? We'll check it. Keep it pending. Cell cycles, matching again. Which one do you want to take? This is again repetition only, no? Direct repetition. Quiescent phase, inactive phase, C2. C2 option 3. Repetition, we have done this yesterday only, so let's move forward. Next one is also same. Mutualism, commensalism, amensalism, parasitism. So what do we catch hold of? Mutualism is plus plus. A 4. Two options, 1 and 4 mentioning both plus plus for A and B? No? So I think I have got it wrong here then. So you know mutualism is, okay, you look at, forget the options. I think the text is not right in my paper here. Mutualism is both benefit, plus plus. Commensalism is plus 0. One definitely benefits, the other one will not be benefited nor harmed. Amensalism is minus 0. Parasitism is plus minus. Plus minus. One is benefited and the other one is harmed. Two statements, true or false, is what we have to look at. Gauss's competitive exclusion principle states that two closely related species competing for the same resources cannot coexist indefinitely and the inferior competitor is eliminated. That is true. Gauss's competitive exclusion. It is so true for every situation. It is so true for every situation. When two people are competing for the same resource, the one who is not able to compete will eventually perish. Two shops, two provision stores next to each other or close to each other. Both of them will have business for a while and eventually one of them will have to shut down. One of them will shut down because he will not be able to sustain the business. Second statement, in general, carnivores are more affected by competition than herbivores. Is it true? Is it true? See, carnivores will have more specific, specialized hunting practices. Herbivores, all of them, what is specialized about eating plants? So, increased number of herbivores with competition among the herbivores will lead to more problem to the herbivores than among carnivores. So, herbivores are more likely to be affected with competition than carnivores. One more reason is herbivores fighting amongst each other with due to competition. It's a minus interaction. both of them are affected, all the herbivores in competition are affected, they will start becoming weaker, which will eventually eliminate them. One, by reduced availability of resources for their survival. Second, increasing their susceptibility to be predated upon by the carnivores. Okay. So herbivores are double attack, no? Carnivores are trying to hunt them. And if they are in competition, it means that they are in more number. And they are also having shortage of food for themselves. Okay. Question number 149, what should we do with that? What should we do with question number 149? Skip. Steps in recombinant DNA technology. Arrange the steps of recombinant DNA formation in the correct sequence. Insertion of recombinant DNA into the host cell, cutting of DNA at a specific location by enzyme, isolation of the desired DNA fragment, amplification of the gene of interest using PCR. First is to cut. You have to cut it first, then isolate, then amplify, then you will insert the gene of interest.
Isolation first.
How can you isolate before cutting? It's not isolation of DNA from the cell. It is isolation of the DNA fragment. Okay, let us see if that error in judgment has a matching option. If it is your wrong judgment, it should be CBDA, no? See, you have that. For somebody who will start thinking that isolating DNA is the first thing before cutting, it is not isolating DNA, it is isolating the DNA fragment. That means it is the DNA after cutting. Next one, matching again. Same. Vasectomy, surgical method A3. So two options are given that: coitus interruptus, natural method B4. Option 2. Vasectomy is a surgical method, coitus interruptus is natural method, cervical caps are barrier method, Saheli is oral method. If you have to arrange the four in the four contraceptive methods in the decreasing order of efficiency, arrange it. Arrange the four in the decreasing order of efficiency. Contraceptive efficiency. Okay, vasectomy. Cervical cap. Saheli. And coitus interruptus. Is hormonal method less efficient than barrier method? More efficient. Hormonal method is more efficient than barrier method, but both are very highly efficient. Cervical cap and Saheli both are very efficient. But the risk of cervical cap is there can be insertion errors. The insertion error can be there, and the chances of contraceptive failure is there. But both are very effective methods. Point to note is coitus interruptus is the most inefficient. Coitus interruptus is the most inefficient. Can you name another natural method? Calendar method. Then? Lactational amenorrhea is, yeah. See, contraceptive methods are those which are adopted by individuals. Lactational amenorrhea is a period in the life of an individual, life of the lady, which provides. See, what is wrong about statement 1? If you look at statement 2, biomagnification refers to an increase in toxic concentration at successive trophic levels. That is definitely true. That is the definition of biomagnification. A high amount of nutrients in water restricts algal bloom. Is that right? It increases algal bloom. It does not restrict algal bloom. It increases algal bloom. Algal bloom decreases fish mortality. Wrong. Algal bloom increases fish mortality. Now, two statements appear to be right. Statement 1 and 2. What is wrong about eutrophication? Because statement 2 is definitely right. Between 1 and 2, we have to choose statement 2 as the right choice. But why is statement 1 wrong? So? So what? Statement 1 is wrong, but why? If instead of biomagnification something else was there, and if biomagnification, we could have still passed statement 1. But in the presence of statement 2, which is the definition of biomagnification outright, statement 1 has to be told is wrong. Why should we tell it is wrong? It is not the increase in domestic sewage or wastewater content in the lakes. It is the increase in nutrients. Eutrophication is increased nutrient, nitrogenous waste. If you mention nitrogenous waste, then it is right. Increasing nutrient is the point. So technical point can be taken and that can be made to be wrong. Which of the following symbols represents mating between relatives in a human pedigree analysis? Huh? Consanguinity, double line. Huh? When there is double line between male and female, between the couple, that indicates consanguinity. What does the full shading of a particular block represent? Disease or death. If you make it fully black, it is death. If you shade it, you can represent it as diseased. So shading is to represent the affected individual. We are not getting any pedigree chart question only, no? So far in any of the previous papers we have not got it. Earlier it used to come. So we can expect. Which one of the following STDs is completely curable when detected early and treated properly? Genital herpes, gonorrhea, hepatitis B, HIV. Gonorrhea. All others are viral infections, not completely curable. Genital herpes is not curable. Hepatitis B not curable. HIV not curable. All three. Herpes is not deadly. Herpes is a constant irritant. It will constantly keep recurring. But hepatitis B and HIV are deadly. Okay. Hepatitis C is also there, as infective and deadly as hepatitis B. But hepatitis C cannot infect in the absence of hepatitis B. Hepatitis C increases the chance of liver cancer. But hepatitis C is dependent on B for infection. Drugs with their effects. Okay. Heroin, marijuana, cocaine, morphine. Catch hold of one thing which you are sure about. Cocaine, what does it do? Huh? Morphine, okay, we catch hold of morphine. Okay, easier one. What will morphine do? Morphine is a painkiller, D3. Good, you got it now. 4. Then quickly you learn the other 3 also during exam. Heroin slows down body function. Marijuana effects on cardiovascular system. You don't call it marijuana. 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 Cocaine interferes with the dopamine transport. Morphine is a painkiller. Heroin is a depressant. Heroin is a central nervous system depressant. Marijuana alters perception, brings about hallucinations, altered perceptions. Cocaine is a stimulant with blocking dopamine uptake. Alright, next one is matching joints. Okay. Which one do you want to catch hold of? Ball and socket, huh? Okay. Ball and socket, which one is ball and socket? Ball and socket? Between humerus and pectoral girdle, B4. Oh, they also have picked it up. Okay, then one more, catch hold of one more. Fibrous joint. Fibrous joint, easy. Between the skull bones, C1. Okay, that gives it us. Cartilaginous joint between adjacent vertebrae in the vertebral column. In the same paper we have seen that, no? What joint is there in the between the vertebrae? Not in the same paper, previous paper. Saddle joint between carpal and metacarpals. What joint do we have between atlas and axis? Pivot joint. What joint do you have between ulna and humerus? Or radius and humerus? Elbow joint. Radius and humerus is hinge joint. Okay, statements again. This is a big paper. Huh? There are not too many statement questions, matching questions, multiple statements and combination of statements as options. This is a big paper. Any of you had given this paper? Okay. Good sound. Now anyways, this is repeating, no? A protein is imagined as a line where the left end is the C terminal and the right end is the N terminal. Is it true? Why not? You have a carboxy terminal and a amino terminal. Okay? N terminal is amino terminal, C terminal is carboxy terminal. Still okay. Primary structure. Statement 1 is primary structure. Adult human hemoglobin consists of 4 subunits, 2 alpha type and 2 beta type. That is also true. We can give both, no problem. Both are correct. But which one is left and which one is right? You hold it like this. Carboxy terminal and amino terminal, let us say. If you interchange it, it will still be a line, no? Why should I not hold it like this? So the statement should have been, a protein can be imagined as a line with one end being the C terminal and the other end being N terminal. What is left and right? If it is a line, what is left and right? What is the orientation to hold it then? Such silly mistakes they do in giving the statements, and this exam was written by 25 lakh people. Huh? 22 in 2000. 24 it was 25. This year? 30. Huh? Okay. So your success will be even more sweeter. Which of the following are not considered part of the endomembrane system? Come on. Okay. Certainly not a part of the endomembrane system. Mitochondria, chloroplast. If you are not sure about the others, check for the ones which is not involving either A or C. Both A and C should be there. Okay. So the right choice is 2. A, C and E. Peroxisome is also not a part of the endomembrane system because it is not in continuity. Lysosome is a part of the endomembrane system. Mitochondria, chloroplast. Know it without any confusion. Given below are two statements. RNA mutates at a faster rate. Yes. Correct. Viruses with an RNA genome mutate and evolve faster. That is also correct. What is the advantage of mutation in viruses? Advantage of mutation in viruses? It enhances their adaptability. Mutation enhances adaptability in viruses. Matching hormones with organs. Good question. Now you cannot say out of syllabus. Okay. Now answer. Catch hold of one thing. ANF, atrial natriuretic factor, heart C2. Only one option. You still could answer the question without even touching the out of syllabus component. Okay. CCK, cholecystokinin, pancreas. Okay. Gastric inhibitory peptide, gastric gland. ANF, heart. ADH, antidiuretic hormone, kidney. See, ANF is produced in the heart. ADH acts on the kidney. Right? GIP is produced by gastric glands only, gastric inhibitory peptide. CCK is produced by duodenum. CCK-PZ is produced by duodenum but acts on the pancreas. CCK component acts on the liver. PZ component acts on the pancreas. If you are talking about action on the pancreas, you should talk about it as pancreocynin, not CCK, cholecystokinin. Anyway, still we got the right answer, no problem. Assertion reasoning. Endometrium is necessary for implantation of the blastocyst. True or false? True. Because in the absence of fertilization, the corpus luteum degenerates, causing disintegration of the endometrium. Is the reason statement correct? Statement is correct. Endometrium is necessary for implantation of the blastocyst because in the absence of fertilization, the corpus luteum degenerates, causing disintegration of the endometrium. Reason is also correct. Because if pregnancy does not happen, if there is no blastocyst, pregnancy does not happen, corpus luteum degenerates and endometrium breaks down, disintegrates. So it's like giving a context, it's a context of absence of pregnancy. Both are correct. Again match the following. Repetition only. Filariasis. I'm getting bored now. Filariasis. At least once you give Uchil Brugui Malai. That also causes filariasis. Malaria, Plasmodium vivax, pneumonia, Haemophilus influenza, ringworm, trichopeton. At least in this paper they have altered the sequence of pathogens. Okay, next one. Two statements, again true or false statement, both. Low temperature preserves the enzyme in a temporarily inactive state, whereas high temperature destroys enzymatic activity because proteins are denatured by heat. Is the statement correct? Statement is correct. Statement 1 is correct. When the inhibitor closely resembles the substrate in its molecular structure and inhibits enzyme activity, it is known as competitive inhibition. True. Where does the competitive inhibitor binds? Where does it bind? Competitive inhibitor binds at the active site. How do you overcome competitive inhibition? Increasing the substrate concentration. If you increase the substrate concentration, you can overcome competitive inhibition. It's like musical chair. Competitive inhibition is like musical chair. You have two teams. While playing musical chair, let's say 10 people are playing it and 7 of you are friends. What is your stage 1 strategy? Or 6 of you are friends, 4 belongs to other group. What is your stage 1 strategy? You will somehow make sure that those 4 do not continue. The first 4 to be eliminated should be those 4. After that, then you will compete amongst yourselves only. Then you will try to figure out, can you make a smaller group of 2 or 3? So you increase your chance of winning. Competitive inhibition. Again match the following. I'm bored of this match the following. Good only, okay. Because every time match the following comes, I have to tell you which one do you want to catch hold of. Which one do you want to hold on to? Now this is a good one, okay, excretory structures matching. Tinea, paramecium, periplaneta, ferritima. What each one of this is? Tinea is tapeworm, paramecium, periplaneta is cockroach, ferritima is earthworm. Okay, tinea, what do they have? They have some specialized excretory structures. Flame cells, A3, done, over, one option only is there. B2, paramecium, contractile vacuole, periplaneta, cockroach, ureocyte glands, ferritima, nephridia, earthworm. Which one of the following techniques does not serve the purpose of early diagnosis of a disease for its early treatment? Which doesn't serve the purpose? Recombinant DNA technology, serum and urine analysis, PCR, ELISA. Which doesn't serve the purpose of early detection for treatment? Huh?
Serum and urine analysis.
It is not used for early diagnosis of a disease. When you are not well, what is the test you get done? What test do you get? Left, right and center we prescribe blood and urine tests. Huh? Or do you go for recombinant DNA technology to identify? It's clearly mentioned early diagnosis of a disease for its early treatment. What do you want to do? What you don't want to do, you say serum and urine analysis. That is the first thing we do. Okay. Recombinant DNA technology is not used as an early diagnostic tool. Recombinant DNA is not used as a diagnostic tool predominantly. It is used for treatment if required. Genetic engineering.
Insert the option to second. And insert the option to second.
In the answer key? Then it is wrong.
Even in the NCERT.
Huh?
NCERT is wrong.
It is given in NCERT. Oh, yeah. Huh?
Sir, option 2 is answer. Option 2 is answer. Is the from NCERT.
Oh my God. Give me one example where recombinant DNA technology is used for diagnosis of something. I will give you 100 examples of where we use blood test for early diagnosis. No. Recombinant DNA technology is the wrong answer. Okay. Be alert to such kind of questions coming, we will raise dispute. Recombinant DNA technology is used for gene therapy, gene modifications. Diagnosis? No. Okay, species and interaction. Leopard and lion in a forest. That is easy, no? Leopard and lion in a forest, what is the interaction between them? Competition. Cuckoo laying egg in a crow's nest. Brood parasitism, not blood parasitism. Brood parasitism. Brood parasitism. Fungi and root care of fire plants. Mycorrhiza. Mutualism. Cattle egret and cattle in a field. Commensalism. So it is 1, 2, 3, 4. Googly question. So when you look at it, students will start feeling, it should not be like this now. Can't be so straightforward. So they'll try to mix and match and do something. So there will be some mix and match options also available. Ligaments and cartilage based question. Two statements. Ligaments are dense, irregular connective tissue. True or false? What is it then?
Regular.
Dense. Ligaments are dense, regular connective tissue. Cartilage is dense, regular connective tissue. Cartilage is dense, irregular connective tissue. So, both are false. Two statements again. In prokaryotes, positively charged DNA is held with negatively charged proteins in a region called the nucleoid. Is it true? Is DNA positively charged? What is the charge on the DNA? By default, nucleoid is correct. DNA is held with proteins is correct. What is the protein? The protein is histone. Combination of DNA coiled around histone is nucleoid, nucleosome. But DNA is not positively charged. DNA is negatively charged. Statement 1 is wrong. Statement 2, in eukaryotes, negatively charged DNA is wrapped around positively charged histone proteins to form a nucleosome. This is correct. Statement 2 is true. So match the following, but it is out of syllabus. Okay. Keep it. Select the correct group or set of Australian marsupials exhibiting adaptive radiation. Adaptive radiation. Tasmanian wolf, bobcat, marsupial mole. Numbat is anteater. Anteater, spotted cuscus, flying phalanger. So anteater is ground dwelling, cuscus is tree dweller, flying phalanger is a glider. Tasmanian wolf, bobcat and marsupial mole are all land only, no? I think it is Numbat, spotted cuscus, flying phalanger. Yeah. Okay. Is lemur a marsupial? Is lemur a marsupial? Lemur is a placental mammal. Lemur is a placental mammal. Okay. Right. Which of the following statements are correct regarding the female reproductive cycle? Okay, again 4 statements are there, combinations are there. In non-primate mammals, cyclical changes in reproduction are called the estrus cycle. True or false? That is true. So any statement should not, any option should not exclude A. None of them are excluding A. So all of them are having A. The first menstrual cycle at puberty is called menopause. Wrong. It is called menarche. Nothing should have B. The right choice should not have B. So 2 and 3 ruled out. Lack of menstruation may indicate pregnancy. That is correct. What do you refer to? What is the term by which you refer to absence of menstruation in a reproductive age group female? Amenorrhea. Amenorrhea. What is the term for painful menstruation? Dysmenorrhea. What is the term for excessive bleeding during menstrual phase? Menorrhagia. Menorrhagia. What is the term for longer duration cycle? Instead of, it's normally 3 to 5 days. The menstrual phase should be 3 to 5 days. What if it is extending beyond that? What do you call that? Metrorrhagia. So, related to menstrual cycles, it is menarche. Before that and after, menarche to menopause is the reproductive phase. Menarche to menopause is the reproductive phase. On either side of that is amenorrhea. During the reproductive phase, when the menstrual cycles are happening, painful menstruation, dysmenorrhea, excessive bleeding, menorrhagia, extended bleeding duration, metrorrhagia. Metrorrhagia, okay? You can just remember. All are possible. Vital capacity of the lungs is IRV, ERV are there in everything. Do you want to include tidal volume or not is the question. For vital capacity, do you want to include tidal volume? You have to include tidal volume. Do you want to consider residual volume also? No. Vital capacity is inspiratory reserve volume, tidal volume, expiratory reserve volume. That is the volume of air that you can manipulate within the lungs. From maximum inhalation to maximum exhalation or vice versa. That is vital capacity. What do you call it if I include the residual volume also? Total lung capacity. ECG. Which one do you want to catch hold of? Huh? QRS. Okay, QRS is depolarization of ventricles, C4. Only one option. Done. P wave. P wave is depolarization of atria. Q wave is beginning of systole. QRS complex is depolarization of ventricles. T wave is depolarization of ventricles. What phase of the cardiac cycle corresponds to QRS complex? What phase of cardiac cycle corresponds to QRS complex? What? Ventricular systole. Ventricular systole. If ventricle is undergoing depolarization, what will it be in? It will be in a contraction phase. Contraction is referred to as systole. Ventricular systole. Assertion reasoning. Amniocentesis for sex determination is one of the strategies of the reproductive and child health care program. Is sex determination a strategy of RCH program? Sex determination is avoided unless there is a genetic basis for it. So, amniocentesis for sex determination is wrong. Amniocentesis is done for detection of genetic abnormalities. Ban on amniocentesis checks the increasing menace of female feticide. True. Ban on amniocentesis checks the increasing menace of female feticide. Amniocentesis is not banned, it is regulated. So this is a tricky situation. What is given in the answer? Then okay, what we are thinking is right. Assertion is wrong, it is not a strategy, it is something which we avoid. Ban on amniocentesis, lack of run. ZYA, I repeat again, this is also repeat. Okay, tell me what each one produces. Don't look at the options. Gene A produce? No, I will not ask you Z by A. Tell me what gene A produces. Transacetylase. What Z produces? Beta galactosidase. Y? Galactose permease. I? Gene I produces repressor protein. Okay. Which function is 179? Which function is carried out by the cytoskeleton in a cell? Nuclear division, protein synthesis, motility, transportation. Motility, movement basically. Cytoskeleton helps in, cytoskeletal element helps in intracellular movement as well as movement of the cell. Okay, both. What are the two components of cytoskeleton? In fact, three components: microtubules, microfilaments, and intermediate filaments. Three components are there. Again, assertion reasoning. Nephrons are of two types: cortical and juxtamedullary, based on their position. Is assertion true? Yes. Reason: juxtamedullary nephrons have a short loop of Henle, whereas cortical nephrons have a long loop of Henle. False. It is reverse. Juxtamedullary nephrons have longer Henle's loop. Electrostatic precipitators are widely used in thermal power plants. Electrostatic precipitators are widely used in thermal power plants. True or false? See, in thermal power plants, you have a lot of dust and particulate pollutants being produced. Thermal power plants. Thermal power plants use what for power generation? What do they burn?
Fossil fuel.
Coal. Fossil fuels, coal. Thermal power plants burn coal. So there is a lot of fumes. And particulate matter. Electrostatic precipitators are used to remove dust and particulate matters. So statement 1 is correct. Electrostatic precipitators remove ionizing radiation from power plants. By default it is wrong. It is used for removing particulate matter, dust and floating particles in the air. A broad palm with a single palm crease is visible in a person suffering from Down syndrome. A broad palm with a single palm crease. What other signs of Down syndrome do you notice? Signs, physical appearance first. Broad forehead,
Short feature.
narrow, short eyes, small eyes, webbed neck, webbing of the neck, short and webbed neck, drooping of the lower jaw. These are some of the physical signs. And flat nasal bridge. Nose bridge will be flatter. Flat face. It's a spectrum disease. Down syndrome is a spectrum. It is not everybody with Down syndrome expressing the same extent of symptoms, extent of the disease. It is a spectrum. Radial symmetry is not found in adults of which phylum? Radial symmetry is not found in adults of which phylum? Ctenophora, Hemichordata, Coelenterata, Echinodermata. Ctenophorans are Umgelis. Radial or bilateral? Radial symmetry. Coelenterates are jellyfishes. Radial symmetry again. Echinodermata, adults are radial. Larvae is bilateral. Hemichordata, bilateral symmetry. HIV replicates in which cells? TH cells means what? T helper cells. What is the marker on them? CD4. CD4. Which of the following is not a cloning vector? Again, repeat question. Probe is not a cloning vector. BAC is bacterial artificial chromosome. YAC is yeast artificial chromosome. Both are used for cloning large fragments of DNA. PBR322 is plasmid, which is also a vector for small segments of these shorter DNA segments. Probes are used for identifying sequences, not for cloning. Okay. Matching again. Which one do you want to match? This is also repetition only. No? Logistic growth. Okay, what is the choice? Limited resource availability condition A to okay. Exponential growth. Unlimited resource availability condition B1. So option expanding age pyramid, pre-reproductive age group more than post-reproductive age group, stable, equal pre-reproductive and post-reproductive age groups. Okay. Select the correct statement regarding chordates. Presence of a mid-dorsal, solid and double nerve cord. Is it correct? No. It is dorsal, hollow, single nerve cord. Anything with A should be ruled out. Option 1 is ruled out. B. Presence of a closed circulatory system. Correct? Anything without B should be ruled out. 4 should be ruled out. Okay. D. Presence of a dorsal heart. Is it dorsal heart? Ventral heart. D is wrong. Anything with D should be ruled out. So option 2 is the ventral. Triploblastic pseudocoelomate animals. That is also wrong. Triploblastic coelomates. Which part of the human brain regulates sexual behavior, pleasure, fear, and rage? Limbic system and hypothalamus. Okay, corpora quadrigemina and hippocampus controls visual and auditory reflexes. Visual and auditory reflex. Brainstem and epithalamus controls. Brainstem and epithalamus controls what? Epithalamus is pre-thalamus, before thalamus. Vital functions: respiratory center, vasomotor centers. Corpus callosum and thalamus. Connections, establishing connections between different regions of the brain. Thalamus has another name referring to the connection that it establishes. It is the thalamus is referred to as what? Relay center of the brain. Okay, midbrain. Thalamus is the relay center of the brain. Limbic system, emotions, memory, pleasure, fear, and all of that. Hypothalamus is predominantly associated with sexual behavior also. Hunger, rage, thirst, anger, all of this hypothalamus. Which of the following are unique characteristics of mammals? Hair is a unique characteristic of mammal. Body hair is mammalian character. What else? Tympanic membrane, is it unique to mammals? No. Tympanic membrane is found in amphibians also. Reptiles also. So tympanic membrane is not. Option 1 ruled out. Pinna? Yes. Mammary gland? Yes. So it is hair, pinna and mammary gland. Functions not controlled by thyroid hormone. Which functions are not regulated by the thyroid hormone? Maintenance of water and electrolyte balance. Is water and electrolyte balance related to thyroid hormone? What regulates water and electrolyte balance? Adrenal gland, aldosterone, adrenal cortex. So anything with A should be ruled out, and it is only one. Regulation of basal metabolic rate. Yes, you cannot exclude B because thyroid is responsible for. Okay, so question is which is not regulated by the thyroid hormone. The right choice should have A. Correct? So what does this indicate? To perform well in exams, you should have had adequate Sleep. You cannot be tired and sleepy when you are taking exam. So it is A and D. Let us check whether D is also not a function of a thyroid gland. Development of the immune system. Is it associated with thyroid gland? Which gland is associated with the development of immune system? Starting with the same name. Present around the same place. Thymus. Thymus. Okay. Okay, we will close it at this. 10 more questions we will do tomorrow and we will try to 11th paper.